Yeah.
Alright. Unfortunately, the first thing I gotta bring up is a mistake that I made while reviewing The Place Beyond the Pines. Shortly after telling you you were bad at math,
Yes.
I made the mistake of saying The Place Beyond the Pines started in 1995. Because I had said that on the in the interrogation room, on the monitor it said 2012.
Okay.
And it said 15 years later in the jump, which would make it 1997. But what happened was...
Nice!
But what happened was, I was thinking about the kids' age, because the kids were 17, so I subtracted 17 from 2012 instead of 15, and that's where I got 95, which would not be what the beginning of the movie was. It'd be 2 years before the beginning of the movie was, so...
Okay.
When I said 1995, it was actually 1997. And it kind of makes me wish I hadn't called you a dumbass for being bad at math.
Yeah.
Right after I'd said that.
Really makes you look great by comparison.
Oh, God. Okay. Anyway, we're just going to go right into this, but unfortunately I have to piss off fans of classical literature.
Yeah.
I was indifferent going into this movie because for the longest time the only thing I'd seen was the Robert Redford movie from 1974 for The Great Gatsby. So earlier this, pretty much everybody in the world read The Great Gatsby in school, which I didn't.
Neither did I.
So earlier this year I got it from the library and I read it. And well,
oh boy.
Well, yeah, I'm not really sure what the big deal is.
Rant alert.
I know that's a primitive thing to say to something so highly regarded, especially for so many years. But in the story department, I guess me and Fitzgerald just don't see eye to eye. Because first off, it's really annoying that the book is like that thick, but both movies that have been spawned from it are 2.5 hours long.
Gee, man, Christmas.
It seems very, I don't know.
Padded?
Well, obviously. But the thing is the reason I say this, obviously, I'm not just one of those people that's like, everybody loves it, so I'm going to hate it just for the sake of it. Well, obviously novels are mainly about story.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're written. This story is pretty basic. Like, this story's been done a million different ways. I mean, I don't know if it may have been original back when it was first written, but a woman is torn between the guy that loves her and the douchebag she's married to.
Yeah.
That's just plain. It happens all the time in real life. It happens all the time in fiction.
Yep. That old chestnut.
So what happens is, since you can't really do any much with this story, Fitzgerald has done like 5% story, 95% adjectives describing every tedious thing he possibly can throughout the course of it. Like, just when they, like, it's just, that's just all I can say. Just, he spent I know it's all about, you gotta use words to take people to where, you gotta put them in where you're setting.
Mm.
But he got really carried away because he just, like, I mean, I know this is what people love about it, but it's a little much that he goes into every single detail of every single thing, and the story is just like a side note to his adjectives.
Yeah.
And not to mention, we get, the characters are just... Most of the characters are these really bad, disgusting people.
Yeah.
And then you have, like, George and Myrtle, for instance. George and Myrtle become very important in the end, obviously. But until then, they are these extremely one-dimensional characters who only exist to make the plot go in the directions it needs to.
Yeah.
which is a complaint you hear from a lot of people, but for some reason, because it comes from because the book has been put on this as they talk about. Oh no, that was. Oh my god! I almost mixed up Gatsby with Peeples.
Oh dear God! Don't do that, please.
Okay. Well, anyway, we heard the word pedestal a lot today.
Yes.
That's what Gatsby is as a novel. And I don't know if... I mean, I'm sure people really do. Like, people who are really, you know, into being absolutely as descriptive as possible to really get to that place. I can see why they love it, obviously. Because he obviously has his way with words of how he... Like, he doesn't just, you know, describe things. He, like, really, really describes things. But I thought for most of the time that just made the novel really, really tedious and redundant. And Meyer Wolfsheim, he's like built up to be this really important character. That storyline has no purpose, except for the fact like they introduce him like he's going to be a big deal, and the fact that Gatsby is tied to him comes up every now and then.
That's it.
And
Wow. That's a very useless character.
let's see because he's I'll get to that later, but now that I've verbally desecrated the novel, much to the dismay of the rest of the world, we'll go into the movie now. First off, the way it starts off, obviously Baz Luhrmann is best known for, well, he's known for like Romeo and Juliet and Strictly Ballroom. And
Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge is, the framing that he's done for Gatsby is exactly like Moulin Rouge.
100%.
You have the classical opening, then you have, it starts after all the story's completely taken place.
Yep.
And the main character is growing a beard, he's very depressed, and he's in a room by himself writing.
It's very true.
That's the exact opening of Moulin Rouge.
It really very much is. And even the typewriter's there too, so I mean it's not even
and
writing.
it's told through his, I don't remember it being specified in the book whether or not Nick Carraway was actually writing a book as he was narrating the story, but yeah, it got to, like, I was 100 or so pages into the novel, and my eyes would go over the words, and I just didn't care anymore. Like, I wasn't really registering them after a while, because it was just like, okay, I've heard enough about how the way Gatsby's grass is cut. But anyway.
His cookies are so moist.
Yeah.
Going to that level.
But he does his normal thing where Luhrmann's often criticized because the first half of his movies will be like really flamboyant and really in your face and just really frenetic and wild. And then they go into this depressing place. Like, somewhere in the middle, all the wildness just stops, and it's just all somber and brooding. And,
Doom and gloom.
yeah. And, see, I always liked, for the most part, I really like Luhrmann. I mean, I've seen Strictly Ballroom, but I don't really remember anything. It just kind of went in and out.
Yeah, it's the one I really can't tell you much about, and I've seen all of his movies, and unlike you, I actually liked Australia.
I can shamelessly tell you that I really like Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
And I love Moulin Rouge.
One of my favorite movies ever.
But Australia was just... And Nicole Kidman is my favorite actress.
Yes.
And my favorite one of my favorite performances of hers is the performance Baz got out of her in Moulin Rouge.
It's a teen.
So it was set up that Australia should have been satisfactory.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't really at all.
That's before we knew that Jackman really had the pipes that he did.
And of course, a lot of people hate Luhrmann because he does the he brings the modern stuff into. He's kind of like what Tarantino does. He tries to bring the modern into the classic background.
Yeah, a lot of people love the Smells Like Teen Spirit used for Moulin Rouge. Yeah. A lot of people bring that up.
But the thing is it's actually not. I mean, obviously, people who love the novel, for instance. Like, everybody's all, Baz Luhrmann's gonna ruin my novel. But anyway, see, that's what Luhrmann does, though, is they're all Luhrmann's just style over substance. In fact, Luhrmann's just all style and no substance.
So is Terrence Malick, and they love him.
But think about how exactly do you not get the guy that's all style and no substance for a novel that's nothing but adjectives?
It's very true.
So, it seemed like a perfect fit.
Yeah.
I thought. As fans of the book are just fucking fuming as they hear this. They want to jump through their screen and just murder me right now.
They're typing right now. I can literally hear them in my head as they're like, "This is terrible."
I'm not meaning to do that though. That's just everybody loves this novel.
Yeah.
So fine. And they're all saying that they're all complaining that nobody loves the novel like the Redford movie either. So they're all bitching and moaning that the novel's never going to be made into a great movie. I don't know what they want. Because this one's like Wild and Out.
Yeah.
And the other one was like a standard period piece, basically. I'm not really sure what they expect to be done with it.
Well, it's like the fans of Les Mis that love the play so much. I don't know why I skipped on those words, but anyway, basically they love the play so much, and when they heard about the original movie, which you've watched, you watched right before the new one came out, and they were like, "They're gonna ruin it. They're gonna ruin it."
Well, there's a shitload of Les Mis movies, but I watched the Liam Neeson.
The newest one. I mean, there's been a lot of incarnations of that story that's told on the big screen.
There's like 7 Les Mis movies.
Dear Lord. And they're never happy.
But anyway, we're getting sidetracked on Les Mis.
But still, they're never happy, and that's exactly what it is with this. You're not going to make everyone happy if they're a fan of the original source material.
Let me go ahead and I have complaints about this movie, but I'm going to go ahead and throw out stuff that I like. I was going to go into this and I forgot.
Sorry.
The thing is about Luhrmann bringing in modern music in the classical background is in Moulin Rouge, they're like right in your face.
Oh yeah.
Like they do Roxanne and Like a Virgin and Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah.
But for the most part in Gatsby, it's in the background.
Yeah, definitely.
Is it the Florence song?
Yeah.
The plays when it's the montage where they're like falling in love again. That's like one of the only ones that's like in the foreground. Like the Jay-Z song that I really hate.
H2DSO?
$100 Bill.
Oh, that one. Okay.
That's when we're introduced to Meyer Wolfsheim. For no reason.
Very true.
It's just kind of in the background. Like you can barely hear it. So there was the one scene. I actually thought this scene was kind of cool, but it's the scene where it's some rap song, and it's in the foreground when at the beginning when Nick Carraway is partying with Myrtle and Buchanan, and they're like Carraway's getting drunk again,
like you do,
and
literally like you do.
You got that shot I always laughed at in the trailer where Toby's spraying the champagne everywhere.
He's having a great time. He's only been drunk like twice, and
Tobey Maguire looks like he's 10 years old, so it almost feels like somebody should come in and like escort him out of the room.
Are you 21? You're not allowed to be here for some.
But that's what, going on that scene. I do like that. I don't know. The novel didn't really go into this, and it didn't really go that way in the Redford movie either. But what Tom and Myrtle are doing is like sleazy.
Oh yeah.
So what this movie does is their characters really come off sleazy, especially in that scene.
Absolutely.
Like they're just these. Like I said, almost everybody in this movie is a disgusting person in one way or another.
Buchanan's played off as a degenerate.
Pretty much, yeah. And
let's jump off this train and let's go run to this secret rendezvous spot.
Yeah. And obviously for people complaining, the dialogue is right out of the book. Especially the narration. The narration's word for word.
I remember it from The Man on the Moon.
Yeah, I still hear it in Jim Carrey's British accent.
Same here.
But then there was also this really interesting thing where I'm all over I'm not near as organized as I was last time. But
it's all right. We literally just got out like 10 minutes ago, so we just came directly here.
Yeah, it hasn't had time to register. The movie, I was looking at my watch. The movie ended 37 minutes ago from now. and we came straight here.
Yeah.
And turned the camera immediately on.
Exactly. We have to
it's
set it up
still-
first.
It's still kind of like when we did Iron Man, we had seen it the night before, so I like slept on it, and it was.
It could resonate in your head exactly what you wanted to say, but now it's pretty much just raw and uninhibited.
Yeah, but so yeah, that's why it's a lot sloppier now than it was. So I'm just gonna, like, I was right in the middle of this is what I liked about it. I'm gonna go right into the performances now.
There we go.
We'll start with DiCaprio. Sometimes he's kind of stiff.
Yeah.
Like, it's what a lot of people accuse him of. But what's really funny was, for the most part, I found his Gatsby to be if Calvin Candy had Jack Dawson's personality.
He even had the Jack Dawson suspenders at one point too.
And he's got the he's got Calvin Candy's mansion.
Yeah, he does.
And when he stands in the window and
Before it got blown up.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
I think everybody's seen Django now. It's going to.
You need to.
But Harry Mulligan is fine.
Yes, she is.
She's not really there very often, and she's not like. I don't know. I've never really saw the big deal with her. Like, obviously, I didn't like An Education. I didn't like Shane.
Yeah.
I love Drive, but she didn't really do anything in that.
I'm the total polar opposite of you when it comes to this. Everyone that knows me knows that Carrie's one of my absolute favorite actresses, and
She just doesn't have anything that really resonates. Like, I watch her, like, there's a lot of movies she's in that I forget she's in.
like Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps.
Yes, I just mentioned that the other day.
Yeah.
And Brothers.
Brothers. Can't forget that.
But,
They're reuniting with Toby in this movie.
yeah, there's actually a lot of reunions in this
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
Everybody's raving about Edgerton.
He's good.
And I do.
He's really good.
Well, everybody loves Edgerton now. He's like he's really breaking out, and he's going to continue to break out, which is really good, because the first place I ever saw him was as the, shit, I can't remember what his accent was, but he was one of the bodyguards in Smoking Aces.
Oh my god, he was.
He's the one that says, Piven gets on his case because, there's jizz on his $5,000 calfskin
Yeah,
jacket.
I remember that.
And he says, he points to it and he says, "What is that?" And Edgerton goes, "I don't know. Is it a cinnamon roll?"
Smoking Aces is also a lost treasure that most people slept on, too.
Yeah, that's the first place I ever saw him. And now that I would have never suspected that Hugo from Smoking Aces is who Edgerton is now. Like, he's going to get these really big parts. Like, you know who was, speaking of Smoking Aces, you know who was going to be Buchanan before Edgerton got cast?
No.
Ben Affleck.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
That would have been interesting, but
Yes, it
I
would
don't
have.
think he would have had the... Edgerton just really had this way, like, I loved, just some of the things he did. Like, everybody loves the leg cross thing that he does at the beginning.
Yeah.
Everybody's waiting for Daisy's response, and there's, I don't know why this is what stuck out to me, but it's towards the end when they're all confronting each other, and he's starting to realize that Daisy loves Gatsby, and he's trying to get it out of her, and he just kind of does this Daisy thing.
Yeah, and just think, like, just last year we saw him literally point to Jessica Chastain, and that was one of his only real scenes.
Yeah, he was supposed to be the lead in Zero Dark 30 before we killed Bin Laden, and they had to change the script.
Yeah. Imagine if he was still alive, the script would have been a whole lot different.
Everybody wondered how Isla Fisher would do as Myrtle. She's barely there. Jason Clarke's barely there.
Yeah, they're both...
Like I was saying, George and Myrtle are worthless until the end, as always.
They're plot devices for only the end.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I said about Tobey a while back was, at the very least, when Tobey Maguire is in a movie, the movie will be good.
Agreed.
Like, there's a couple, but there's not very many movies at all that Tobey Maguire's in that are bad. And a lot of them are great, even.
Yeah.
But Tobey himself... I'm not gonna, like, absolutely, positively hate him like a lot of people do, but he's just there. He is, like, and when he ever, like, they don't call for him to have emotions very often, but when he does, he kind of overdoes it.
Yeah.
You can't take him seriously. I think it's because of the whole he looks like a 10-year-old thing. Because he still sounds like one, too.
Like in the trailer.
At the end, at the funeral, when he's like screaming, "Get the hell out of here!" It's like, I'm surprised people didn't point and laugh at him.
Get that little boy out of this room.
Yeah.
He need not be here any longer.
But then, but even though I'm bashing Luhrmann because of Australia, he still knows how to get really good shots and direct well most of the time.
Cinematography was phenomenal.
Like, I love the, one of my favorite scenes, it's probably going to be one of my favorite scenes of the whole year, is Gatsby's introduction.
Oh, yeah.
Because we just see his ring, so we know he's, like, roaming around incognito. And then we start hearing him talk, and of course we know because we know DiCaprio's voice.
Absolutely.
But they're only showing, like, his mouth. And then finally, he's at the balcony, and the fireworks go off, and he says, "I'm Gatsby," and he turns around, and he, like, raises the glass, and it's, like, a really triumphant entrance.
Yeah, it was very awesome.
That's the fucking way to enter a movie, if ever
it
was one.
100%. Unless you're gunning someone down, that's probably the best way you could enter a movie. It's just looking absolutely grandiose like that.
So, and then there's the scene where it's the big confrontation where Edgerton's figuring everything out and all the lies are being revealed. Which, by the way, is an awesome scene in itself and it really sticks out in the movie because it's almost like a scene that's a really awesome play.
Yeah.
That whole scene by itself could just be a really short, awesome play.
Very true.
And as the tension, there's a fan that's going, and it almost seems like something Hitchcock would do. As the tension builds, they bring in the sound of that fan, and the faster it gets, the more the tension's building, and then
you hear the ice being chipped away.
And then DiCaprio does his blow up and those of you who hate DiCaprio, I'd like you to know, he grabs Edgerton and he screams at him to shut up over and over again. And unlike in Django, his voice is not actually cracked this time.
Well said.
He maintains the yell.
Yes, he does.
There's no "what's it going to be" to Hawk this time.
Nice.
Granted, I love DiCaprio's performance in Django Unchained, so don't take that the wrong way. It's just...
We could talk like 6 hours on Django, and we still haven't even touched the surface.
Yeah, this was going to be released the same day as Django. It was supposed to come out on Christmas.
Yeah, that would have been an amazing day for me.
We would have seen DiCaprio end the movie by getting shot twice. And I gotta say, that scene was really well done, too. His death scene.
Yeah, totally.
And the funeral scene. Like, when they played CinemaCon footage last summer. Last summer. And, everybody was raving about the funeral footage, like with the staircase and gigantic flowers, and it was a really well done shot.
Well, you had told me in a conversation we had at B-Dubs one night that they were going to just end on Gatsby being shot, and that was going to be the end of the movie. They weren't even going to delve into the funeral scene.
Yeah, there's a scene in the novel, and they also covered it in the Redford movie. It's there's a scene that's not in this movie where the ending is a mysterious guy comes to the funeral, and he's like the only one there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty much revealed that that's Gatsby's real dad.
That makes sense.
But Luhrmann just cut that.
No time. Already had 2.5 hours. No time.
Yeah. And I gotta say another thing about his death. I never really thought about it. Like, I kind of caught it in the middle, and I was like, well, that's weird. But then when I remembered the ending, when it happened, it was like, that's very interesting. There's a scene in the montage in the middle of the movie, and Toby's taking pictures of them, and he says, "Are you ready for your close-up?" And I was like, he's referencing Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
When Sunset Boulevard is, I'm pretty sure, not been released in the time the movie's set.
That sounds about right.
But I'm positive it wasn't released by then. But Gatsby's death mirrors
the ending of Sunset Boulevard. The beginning of Sunset Boulevard. That's what I meant to say.
Shot dead, floating in a pool.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting. Are you ready for your close-up? It's a very interesting foreshadowing in the middle of the movie, like that.
That's very true.
It's like, even though the movie hadn't come out, you know.
That's interesting. That's very interesting, actually.
Now there are a lot of things, like there are long gaps where the movie's redundant, and just like the book.
Trying to pad the runtime, pad the pages.
And they have the every movie, no matter how tragic, has their comedy moments. None of the comedy moments in this movie are funny, and it's really awkward. Like,
Not as awkward as the next movie we're watching.
I take that back. There is a really great scene. Say what you will about it, but I really love the scene where Gatsby and Daisy are reuniting after he comes, and it's just a really. It's very realistic the way it works. Like when you're waiting for somebody that you like love that you haven't seen for a long time. The way Gatsby's like pacing the floor and like he's ready, like she's supposed to show up at like 5 and it's like 4:58 and he's like ready to give up waiting.
Yeah.
He's like, she's not coming, I'm leaving.
Sometimes people are late.
He goes outside when she comes inside and then he knocks on the door. And Carol was just really confused. Like, what are you doing? That's a really nice.
And fix your hair, by the way, because it's raining outside.
Yeah, he has to, like, he fixes his hair like 3 times. It's a really nice scene, though.
It is.
And the scene, I do really like the scene where, it looks cheesy in the trailer, but when he's, like, throwing the shirts off the balcony.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's, like, you know, doing that.
Catching them and landing on the middle of the bed, and that's where all the pile of clothes are now.
So, the movie's alright. Oh, about the 3D. He'll tell you otherwise, but in all honesty, the movie's 2 hours and 20 minutes. 2 hours and 22 minutes, actually. And 45 minutes in, I took off my 3D glasses, and I never put them back on. Because some of the scenes looked blurry from where like they were zoom-ins and zoom-outs.
Oh, yeah.
But for the most part, if you pay an extra $3.50 to see it in 3D, you're seeing exactly what you're seeing without them. And without the pain in the ass. What's nice is it's what Ebert always talked about, how 3D makes movies so much darker.
That's very true.
Like, when I was just kind of, okay, when I was watching it in 3D, but then when I took the glasses off, everything is nice and bright.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes it a lot better.
I mean, we're definitely going to have to see this, I don't know if you're going to want to, but we definitely want to see this in the 2D format somewhere down the road just to compare, to see if there's any real comparison. Because I actually did watch it in 3D, and I thought it was fine, but it was basically just a couple of scenes popped.
I don't know what it is.
It was just the party scenes, and that's what was supposed to pop.
I think it's because of how dark they make everything. When I wear the 3D glasses, I get really tired.
Yeah.
Like, all the movies I've almost fallen asleep in lately have been 3D because of this.
That's interesting.
I don't know if it's because
it's dark, darkness equals sleep.
I guess.
Works for me.
But
sometimes not even then.
It's okay. Like, it's not bad. A lot of people are going to say it's bad. A lot of people are going to hate this movie so much.
They already have, actually. They're already very split on it, but it's more bad than good.
Back in January, long before its release date, people already hated it.
I think
that's just the way people are.
Like a 20, 30 some. I don't know what it is right now, but I thought it was something like that on Rotten Tomatoes right now. So
yeah, the critics already hate it.
It's not faring very well.
There's the Hollywood Reporter liked it, I think.
It screws Carrie's Oscar chances.
But yeah, like they existed.
Hey.
Inside Llewyn Davis got a December release date.
Sweet.
It's It's limited the first week of December, and then 2 weeks later it goes wide.
Wide means we're going to Athens or watching it on the computer.
But anyway, I don't really have much else to add to Gatsby. How long have we been going?
28 minutes.
So yeah, it's not. People are gonna tell you it's horrible. It's not. Horrible.
It's not horrible.
And it's not gonna be as bad as people make it out to be.
No.
Because, like, especially in the internet world is what I'm talking about mainly.
People don't.
It's cool now to hate DiCaprio. It's cool to hate Toby. It's cool to hate Luhrmann, and it's cool to love the novel.
Yep.
And assume that the novel's being desecrated just because.
An internet reviewer told you the same.
So, this movie has everything going wrong for it, except everybody loves Edgerton, which is okay.
Yeah.
Everybody should love Edgerton. So, yeah, it's okay.
Carrie's great. As always.
Says
me, exactly.
It's okay. You know, there's some really great scenes.
The cinematography's phenomenal.
Yeah. And the
opening?
when Gatsby and McCann are like driving the cars, that I'm pretty sure those cars are supposed to only go like back then, but of course it's a Luhrmann movie, so they're just like racing down.
Well, he mentioned early on that it was specially made and had a supercharged engine, but he didn't say anything about Buchanan's vehicle, so I don't know.
It was so Luhrmann could do this scene.
Of course, without the
But,
Jay-Z music in the background from the trailer.
Yeah, No Church in the Wild, which it's not on the soundtrack, but it was in all the trailers, and it actually is a slightly different version of it at the very beginning of the movie. But that's about it. So if you want to go ahead. Like if you think you'll like it, you probably will.
Yeah.
But if you're like gonna set out to hate it, I wouldn't even bother. But obviously, the people who hate it are gonna be those people that go watch it anyway, just so they can hate it even more.
But they still give it money, so that's all that really matters in the long run, because that's how it makes box office.
Yeah.
That's how other bad movies make box office too.
Speaking of bad movies.
Yep.
Our second movie.
Oh dear God.
Is Peeples. Or if you want to get technical, it never actually said Tyler Perry presents Peeples.
Nope.
But
thankfully not.
Because, you know, whatever. Okay.
He was a producer on it, that's all. He's not the director, like what anybody thinks or anybody's telling you. It's not a Tyler Perry movie. No, it's not. He's just a producer.
It doesn't have enough melodrama to be a Tyler Perry movie.
No, it's not even good enough to be a fake Tyler Perry movie.
It doesn't have It doesn't have really, really despicable characters that are all white.
Yeah.
So it's not a Tyler Perry movie.
Nope.
Nobody gets raped.
Nope.
So it's not a Tyler Perry movie. There's not an overabundance of religious themes, so it's not a Tyler Perry movie.
There's no Martin Lawrence in a dress. Come on.
Alright. You got yourself confused there, but...
No, think about
Okay.
it. I mean, that really started that whole Medea garbage. I mean, Martin Lawrence started that.
Eddie Murphy started that.
Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy both used that.
So, anyway, obviously you've seen from the trailers that this is a total and complete ripoff of Meet the Parents.
Yep.
And it doesn't stop at the concept.
Nope.
For starters, we're going in the theater, and there's the Mylar above the theater because, you know, we're not electronic because we're not fun.
No.
And sure enough, just everybody's seen the Meet the Parents poster, the original one. That's just De Niro and Stiller with the lie detector.
Yep.
And it's the white background and the red font.
Correct.
The Mylar is them on the bikes, like they are in the trailer. All white background, the exact same font in red. That's the title.
And someone's gonna sue somebody on that
Before
one.
we even walked into the theater, it was ripping off Meet the Parents.
Yeah.
But anyway, once the movie started...
Oh boy.
Okay, so... First off, Craig Robinson is not a male nurse. But his brother works in a hospital. That's close enough. And we never learn what his brother... He keeps saying he's a doctor, but we never see him do anything. And he's afraid of blood. He might be a male nurse, too.
He's working in the children's ward, and you see that because obviously he's working on like dolls that are broken and everything.
Yeah,
I
I'm
got
not
that
sure
in the
what-
beginning of
I'm
that.
not sure what that was.
I don't know what he does. I think he works in the pediatric ward, but I don't know what he is.
But, for starters, when Stiller first gets to where De Niro and Blythe Danner live, he loses his luggage.
Yep.
In place of that, Craig Robinson loses his wallet.
Yep.
And much like it always came back into the plot that Greg's luggage got lost, it always comes back into the plot that Craig Robinson's wallet got lost.
Correct.
And they use it against him, too. Like, it got mixed up with this... Like, it had all the S&M stuff in it.
Yeah.
His luggage, and De Niro found it. For some reason, David Alan Grier... It's like a... For some reason, he really... It's like this big deal that he thinks Craig Robinson literally doesn't have any money. Like, he literally thinks Craig Robinson doesn't even own a wallet.
Yeah.
So that's a plot point. And then, in that same scene, another ripoff comes where, naturally, he has to meet the parents. Stiller met Owen Wilson,
Yep.
who was Terry Pullo's ex. Ooh, but the cleverness here is she has a shitload of exes.
Yeah.
And he meets them all. And he's starting to discover them more and more.
And they're all older too, and he plays on that as
I
well.
don't know what that was about.
No idea.
And lastly, this scene was straight out of Meet the Parents. They're at the store, just like he goes to the store, Stiller goes to the store with De Niro. And De Niro goes one way, he goes another. Well, there is a scene in Peeples where Craig Robinson sees David Alan Grier with a mysterious person, and he's overhearing things that are very suspicious. So, of course, David Alan Grier has a big secret that's going to end up being not too big of a deal of a big secret. But he thinks it's a big deal. Just like De Niro with the CIA stuff being the trip to Thailand. So they're not even being shy about ripping off Meet the Parents.
No.
From beginning to end.
Not at all.
Now, the thing is when it's not ripping off Meet the Parents, they go for gags that are... It's an understatement to say they're obvious. It's like... I don't even know the writer-director's name. It's Tina something Chisholm. But...
Okay.
It's literally like the gags are so obvious and so lazy. They literally could have gone outside, picked up a random person off the street, asked them to write jokes, and these would have been the jokes they were.
They probably would have been better in the long run.
But, oh yeah, not only does it stop at Meet the Parents, but I got a really big son-in-law vibe in some parts. And you know what really, like, this is when you know a movie is bad. Like, this is when you know this is one of the worst things you're probably ever going to see. Do you know what I felt like this movie was ripping off from time to time?
What's that?
Were there any points where you were thinking of Deck the Halls?
Yeah. Oh, God.
For people who most likely don't remember, that Christmas movie with Matthew Broderick and Danny DeVito, where they're like the battling neighbors.
Yes. Oh, my God.
There were a lot of scenes that reminded me of that movie, too.
Wow. Totally slipped my mind, but it's very true.
And there's just bad things. There's something really off that just drove me insane, and I don't know where it was coming from, but at 85 minutes, this movie is a lot of padding. And by that I mean, there are scenes where there is about maybe 45 minutes of this movie where people are singing or breaking out into song or dancing. That's like Freeburg and Seltzer territory.
Very much so.
Because, well, I first caught on to it when it was subtle back then. They were leaving the store, and he was talking to Kerry Washington about her ex, and she was like trying to blow off the conversation. So I don't know what he's doing, but it's like to get to her or something. He starts doing this dance.
I guess.
And this goes on for a really long time. Like, it goes on so long. We cut back to Kerry Washington riding away on her bike like 3 times. And we still cut back to Kerry Robinson, and he's still going.
He was doing the Thriller dance. That's exactly what it was. Or a crappy version of it.
I was going to say, he's probably never seen the Thriller video in his life if that's what he was doing.
Yeah, he was trying to do the Thriller dance.
But then there's, they're at the dinner table, and Craig Robinson says, we used to do this game at my family table where we go around and say something we love about somebody at the table. So, the girl, by the way, the sister is a lesbian, and they try to make so many jokes out of this. Like, she's hiding it from the family, but the family secretly already knows.
Yeah, of course.
And her, I guess, lover, who's posing as her best... They were best friends, but now they're lovers, and they're still just saying they're really close best friends.
Yep.
And the best friend sings to her.
In the middle of the dinner table.
And then there's a scene where there's something in Kerry Washington's little brother, who is Tyler James Williams, who is Chris from Everybody Hates Chris. And he's doing this thing. It's not even... Maybe 5 years ago it would have been Guitar Hero. But now he's like making his own music video.
Yeah.
And Craig Robinson has to go into the room while he's doing this secretly, because he does this when nobody's looking.
Of course.
But
even though you can hear it clear as day and downstairs.
We see his camera while he's making this makeshift music video, and Craig Robinson keeps poking his head in, and then he'd leave. And then he'd like do that over and over again. I was like, sooner or later he's gonna see that video and see that Craig Robinson was watching him. It's gonna be like a big embarrassing moment, but no, that never came back. And I don't think Craig Robinson even got what he was going to the room for.
No,
I think they wanted to. The scene focuses on him making this music video, and then the scene ends.
He basically had an altercation where he had to leave the room. He's like, I'm gonna go upstairs and how can I check my email? And he's like, okay, go to Simon's room. So that's exactly what he does.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking about son-in-law.
Yeah,
the kid, he bonds with the kid, and the kid's like computer savvy.
Very true. Him and his auto-tune and his YouTube videos.
It's like I actually expect Tyler James Williams to break out and like grow red curly hair and say, "Don't touch anything in my room." Fred Robinson comes in with 2 giant sandwiches that are nothing but lettuce. It's like Pauly Shore did.
It's funny you mentioned Pauly Shore because it's like David Allen
Pauly
Greer.
Shore makes the great movie compared to this.
Oh my god, yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of things wrong with Son-in-Law, but Son-in-Law is suddenly a masterpiece after having seen Peeples.
Lane Smith is the dad, and
yeah. There was no way David Allen Greer was ever munching on some grinders, despite the fact that they were in the army now together.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh my god. The whole time, and I'll totally admit this, I'm sitting in the movie, and the whole time, the only thing I can think of when I'm watching David Allen Greer on the set is, "There's a scorpion on my back!" And if you guys haven't seen the movie, which you need to check out, it's a forgotten comedy that you probably have never seen, or probably haven't seen in years. Basically, there's a scene where he has a scorpion on his back, and he says, he's like, no, Lori Petty and Andy Dick are trying to tell him that there is no scorpion. It's not there, and then he turns around, this big-ass scorpion right on his back, and they're like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Oh, nothing, don't worry about it." So, I mean, it works really well for comedy, and you know, David Allen Greer, I was a huge fan of In Living Color. I don't know how much you watch it in Living Color, but In Living Color was awesome back in the day. And I miss, like, the old David Allen Greer. I mean, in the Army now, I love Blank Man. I mean, he's had some really good movies, like, good comedy movies.
And plus his part in Jumanji.
Jumanji, yeah.
He was the comedy relief.
Where is this guy now? It seems like the gray hair equals the comedy genius is now gone.
Because of Dance Flick?
Oh, dear God, I don't want to think
You
about
forgot he
that.
was in that, didn't you?
I don't want to think about that movie.
But anyway, another problem was this movie just has stupid shit all over the place that makes the plot go.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense. And one thing that really stood out was you have to take a boat to get to where their house is.
Correct.
And his brother, who I don't even know if his brother, well, his brother doesn't know her family in any way.
Correct.
He like barely knows Kerry Washington. And he just shows up unexpectedly. And it was one of those things where it's like, he was in the beginning, and I was like, he's the funny friend that's gonna come into play every now and then he's gonna get overdone. And
like Afion Crockett, that's who he reminded me of.
He's gonna get overused. I didn't even know until he had shown up at the house that he was his brother. Like, it was halfway through the movie before I knew he was his brother.
Really? No, but honestly, you couldn't tell because it was never mentioned. It was kind of like, is this one of a friend?
That's what I thought.
I mean, but I didn't know it was his brother at all. I totally agree.
But how did he know? Like, not only did he know where they lived, but he took the boat and everything and got there by himself, unexpectedly, without telling anybody. But, and the thing is the thing that worked for Meet the Parents was De Niro was really believable as an overprotective dad.
Agreed.
David Allen Greer's character is like he's the head of a cult.
Yeah.
Like, this family is his weird following. Like, there's this, especially in that scene where they're talking about when the mom's earring goes missing.
Yeah.
And he's talking about, like, their watches. And they, like, wear a specific kind of watch. And the entire family, even Kerry Washington, like, they're all under a spell at the very same time, lift their watches up into Craig Robinson's face so he can see what make they are. He's like, he actually, like, has to stop her and say,
snap out of it.
and she even says, like, what are you talking about? It's like she's part of a cult when she's with her family. It's weird.
You don't have to be perfect for family, and everybody at the same time goes, yes, we do.
And he does that weird thing, like, at first I thought he was doing some kind of sauna, but it's like he's in a teepee and they do some weird prayer thing and they're wearing togas.
It's like Sweat Lodge. I guess he burned it down or something. I don't know.
But, oh, by the way, the big secret that we think his character's up to no good, but he actually goes to, like, a nudist beach.
He swims with Anna Gasteyer and the rest of the humpbacks. That's what he says.
Yeah, that scene happens once, but they feel the need to mention it and try to make a joke out of it every 5 minutes.
Yep. There's a stupid Moby Dick day and everything, and there's a bunch of that type of humor, and it just fails on every single way.
The Moby Dick day is in the trailer, and I was actually watching that trailer saying, well, I'll bet Craig Robinson makes a total fool out of himself there, and it's kind of a forced climax, and it pretty much was.
Yeah.
And then there's I gotta mention, another reason they were about to Meet the Parents. You're not gonna watch this movie, and you don't care if it's spoiled, so here it comes.
Fair enough.
The scene at the end at the airport when De Niro literally has to convince Stiller to come back and marry Terry Polow, and De Niro is the one that proposes to him.
Yeah.
They do that scene again, only it's a little different because Kerry Washington has to convince Craig Robinson to come back.
Correct.
And then David Allen Greer just, materializes because...
And the rest of the family, too.
Because this is literally the ending. Like, this scene happens, and then it goes right into the credits. It's in that big of a hurry. And they weren't done. What happens during the end credits? Everybody sings a fucking song.
Yeah, it's a musical performance for singing and dancing for no reason is what Dr. Jimmy says, and that's exactly what it was.
Mm. Oh.
And the credits, which basically revealed that Charles S. Dutton was one of the producers of this movie.
Yeah.
Which just blows my mind that rock would be part of this.
There's a weird thing where, amidst all the secrets that are coming to light about Kerry Washington's past, apparently she got a boob job.
Yeah.
To match her sister's, because she used to be flat-chested.
Yeah, there's a picture that's shown.
And the big joke is that he never noticed. But they make a really big deal out of that plot point.
Yeah, and they shouldn't.
It's like, what? Well, first off, I can't believe this family is so tight-knit and sheltered. It's like, I can't imagine David Allen Greer, like, not only okaying, but encouraging a boob job.
Yeah.
That's just, I don't know.
And Diane Carroll is the mom, and she's she's on AA, and...
This is Academy Award nominee Claudine Diane Carroll, and Melvin Van Peebles, Sweetback.
Yeah, oh dear Lord.
Are the grandparents.
Yeah.
And they only have one scene each, and they get out.
She apparently used to be a disco singer back in the day, and then she gave it all up for Allen Greer.
That's another musical moment.
Craig Robinson with his musical moment.
She has like a headdress that she used to wear in music. This is in the fucking trailer too.
Yep.
So he puts on, I don't know who would do this, no matter how big a fan of somebody you are, but he used to be a fan of her, and she would wear this headdress when she performed. So he puts the headdress on, and there's this whole performance number that he does by himself in this room.
And of course David Allen Greer walks in on him when we basically cut out the music, and he's just basically singing in falsetto to himself in front of a mirror, and it's just...
and then there's the running joke where he keeps trying to propose, and then something keeps happening. Like, he tries to propose at the dinner table, and David Allen Greer cuts him off.
Yeah.
There's something kind of caught my attention. It's like, he doesn't care anymore. Like, they're sitting there, David Allen Greer and Melvin Van Peebles, and they're talking about how he needs to, move forward in life and get going, and Kerry Washington's sitting next to him, and thank God he got cut off, because they built it up like he was gonna, for extremely forced suspense, like, ooh, is this where it's gonna happen? Oh no, we got cut off again. But think about that for a minute.
Alright.
They're just sitting there in this room, it's just the four of them, and Melvin Van Peebles is going on about, like, you need to, like, just go with it. And he starts to propose right there. It's like, what made him think that was I know they were talking about it, but that would have been a really awkward time to just do it.
He said just go with it, and he took him literally. That's basically what it was.
God. And there's this, he sings this, like, at the very beginning, another musical number. The very beginning is a musical number. He works with kids who piss the bed. And his whole song is about how it's pretty much like it's not the end of the world if you piss the bed. But this song, not only does he sing it like 3 times, but they keep referencing it too.
Yes.
And it's
absolutely horrid, and it's actually the end credit song too.
Yeah, they do like a fancy version of it where like David Allen Greer's on the fucking saxophone.
Yeah.
Or whatever that was. I can't tell. It was that or a clarinet.
He was playing some sort of a wind instrument, that's all we know.
Yeah, brass. I
think
they're called.
Yeah, they're brass instruments. I don't know why I said wind.
I don't know, but I think that's about it. It's just, oh God.
There's bad Tyler Perry movies.
I mean, there's a lot worse movies than Peeples. There's worse movies this year than Peeples.
Agreed, 100%.
But still, it's just...
It's a skip.
People, you watching this, even if you, like, live in your basement and you've never ever put a pen to paper, you could write something that's at least on par with this. And this got written and then produced and then made, distributed, release.
My Dawson's Creek ripoff could probably do better business than this will.
I think I'm done with Peeples. This is all I want to do. 50 minutes in already.
Yeah.
Alright, we gotta go into the limited releases. Okay. I gotta go for a warning again. I'm gonna come off really, I hope I don't come off too close-minded. What's gonna happen, the next movie is Upstream Color, which got a shitload of buzz out of Sundance. Like, everybody fell in love with this movie at Sundance.
Alright.
And this movie pissed me off so much. I don't want to seem closed-minded, so what's going to happen is I'm going to talk about why I'm raging about it and why it pisses me off so much. But then I'm going to be reasonable and talk about why I imagine people like it so much.
Okay.
But for the time being, I might get a little...
risque.
I might be a little overly harsh.
Oh boy.
Because I just gotta get this out. Because it was on my mind the whole time I was watching it. But like I said, I can be reasonable. And I'm going to be after I get this out. Alright, the writer and director is a guy named Shane Carruth. This is only his second movie. And the whole time I was watching this movie, I was fantasizing about just holding this guy down and just punching him in the face over and over again. He's done 2 movies. The first movie it's a cult classic now. It's called Primer. He made it in 2000. It got released in 2004. I think it won something at Sundance, actually. It was another big Sundance hit. But it's these guys, and they build this machine, and it's never really explained what it does. It doesn't really explain anything, and that's his whole point. But we'll get to that. It's like I guess it's a time machine. That's what Wikipedia said. Yeah, I had to actually look up its plot on Wikipedia to at least have a slight grasp of what was happening.
That's bad.
But that's the thing is, you see, he's all smart because nobody understands it but him. I shit you not, this is in the IMDb trivia. He's got a degree in, I'm not going to guess because it can come off really stupid if I say the wrong thing. But he's got engineering, I think it is. He's got a degree.
Okay.
So, he knows these really big words. These words that nobody else knows. These scientific terms.
Gotcha.
The script for Primer is filled with these terms, and he intentionally made it to where the audience could not understand the dialogue.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
At all.
I guess because it's like, the real people wouldn't put it in layman's terms for themselves, because they know what they're talking about amongst themselves. Well, here's the thing, this is the kind of guy where obviously he makes movies for himself. And that's it.
Fair enough.
They just happen to have art house people who fall into them, and that's how they get distributed. No, he's a self-distributor is what he is.
Oh boy.
I'm going to get into that in a minute. He does like everything, but this is where I get a little unreasonable, but this movie really brings out the hypocrisy in movie criticism. Because you have your art house crowd and you have your mainstream crowd. Okay. For some reason, it's absolutely intelligible that somebody be in the middle. You either love mainstream movies and you're an idiot, or you love art house movies and you're smarter than everybody. Well, what happens is the art house crowd says there's movies like, I don't like the Transformer movies, but they're the go-to thing here.
Okay.
When movies like Transformers are made, the art house crowd and everybody is all like, oh god, I hate this stuff because all it does is pander to the stupid mainstream. It just panders. It's made only for them because they're stupid.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't go one way.
It's very true.
Movies like Upstream Color and that fuckhead Shane Carruth make movies that pander to the art house crowd.
Okay.
These movies, like Malik, I'm going to go into that. Shane Carruth wants to be Malik so goddamn badly.
Oh, dear God, no.
To the Wonder looks exciting when you watch Upstream Color and Primer, especially. Primer's so much worse than Upstream Color.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm not reviewing Primer, so I'm just going to say, fuck Primer, it's a piece of shit. I'm going to throw it away. We're on Upstream Color right now.
Well said.
But Upstream Color comes in this, I lost where I was. Oh yeah, the pandering.
Yes.
Well, when you get these movies, they're like they're like really long shots of sunsets, or they're really long shots of a person's hands, like the Haneke shots.
Yeah.
Like the movie The Seventh Continent that Haneke did. A lot of the shots are like just of people's shoes and their hands. I fucking hate Haneke so much.
I know you do. I know you do.
But anyway, when people say movies like Transformers, I really need a better example. I need a movie that I like that was made to pander the mainstream, but I can't think of one. But anyway, I'll just say Michael Bay in general. But they say his movies are made to pander to the mainstream. Well, people like Haneke and fucking Jean-Luc Godard and Fellini, all those art house people that I fucking hate so much. Like, there's people who can... There are great movies. There are great filmmakers that fall into that. Like, the movies of Ingmar Bergman are artsy, but they're fucking amazing and they're brilliant. Movies like Fellini's movies, like, especially 8.5. Good lord. Like, I'm surprised, like... If I didn't know any better, I'd think 8.5 was actually a Godard movie. It's so fucking... I guess I hate the French.
Wow.
That's what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Dear God. You just alienate a lot of people.
But, alright. But yeah, people need to if people would get over that hypocrisy and just realize, these people that say movies are made to pander just to the mainstream, there are movies churned out all the fucking time that play on IFC and somehow get thrown into Sundance that are made for people like them. Like, there's parodies of them all the time, like those black and white movies that make no sense, where the characters have no names, and it ends in fiend instead of the
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, Upstream Color is one of those movies where the art house crowd it's going to eat it up because it was made for the art house crowd to eat it up.
Okay.
Plain and simple. Shane Carruth can say, no, I meant this, and I meant this, and ooh, you're pissed off, that means I'm effective, and this movie challenges you. It's like, you don't like movies that challenge you. There's a difference between challenging the audience and saying, you can come over to my house because I got a new video game, but I'm not going to fucking let you play it. You have to watch me play it.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing. Ebert talked about that with a, I can't remember what movie it was, but Ebert said, there was a movie he was reviewing, and he said, it's like a computer game that your friend you have to watch your friend play and he won't let you.
Been there, done that.
And, God. Well, now that that's done, let me tell you what the movie's about. I'll do my best. I can't guarantee what I'm saying is really what it's about. Because, he's all abstract, because he's artsy.
Oh, boy.
Alright. There's this, I don't know, it's either a blue dust or it's a parasite. Like, those little maggot-looking things.
Okay.
Maybe it's a combination of both. Maybe that's it. But I guess it's like mind control.
Okay.
Maybe here's this thing is, there's this thing going around now about indie sci-fi. Like, indie sci-fi is really big now. Like, Another Earth from 2011.
Yeah.
And there is Another Earth is good, but there's a really bad movie from last year called Extraterrestrial. This sci-fi indie thing is like really taking off now. And maybe it was before Another Earth, but I didn't notice it until now.
Okay.
This falls into that, but it's these two boys, and they have the thing, and they put it in a filter, and they pour their drinks over it, and they drink the drink, and I guess I don't know if they can read each other's minds, or one has power over the other or what, but it's basically your minds are, what's the word? Their minds are in the same place.
Melding?
The point is yeah, that could be it. With a plot point later, that might be it. But the thing is the way they test it is the one kid goes to hit the other kid, and the other kid knows that it's coming, and their hands go up at the same time. And there's a thief that sees this happening. So he drugs the girl so that he can rob her, basically.
Okay.
Like, he they go into that. This is long and drawn out, but after that, it's like there's a jump in time, and she's trying to get her life back together after the drug is worn off. And it's like, I guess like her mind is kind of fractured afterwards.
Okay.
And then there's the guy, and I guess he's also been through this, and they find each other, and they have to, basically they form a romance, and they're trying to bring their lives back together, but both their minds are like fucked up.
Limitless?
Not quite. Well, I don't know. But, like I said, that's just a guess about what it's about.
Alright.
I could totally be off on that, but that's what I saw.
We're getting a comment from the director literally saying, "Stop shooting on me, number 1, and number 2, describe my movie properly."
Yeah. By the way, that's another thing. Remember when I said Shane Carruth tries to be Malik?
Yeah.
He's only made 2 movies, Primer and Upstream Color.
Okay.
Primer was made in 2004. 9 years later, he's made Upstream Color. What was Malik known for? Really artsy movies. Really far apart.
Very true.
Until now. But, anyway. But yeah, he's trying to catch up to Malik now because I guess he's got a new movie that he's starting now after he made Upstream Color. It's like, oh shit, Malik's making movies every year now. I gotta do it too.
Boy.
But, yeah, it's just... The guy was a consultant on Looper.
Really?
Like, he didn't really do... Like, he talked about the time travel. Like, he ended up not really contributing much to the script, according to Ryan Johnson. But he was there to, like, consult. Okay. And I know... Okay. I guess now I'm going to go into... Well, first off, not only is he, like... When I was talking about he's like a selfish kid with a video game.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to this.
Okay.
These are why the movies are so personal to him. On both Primer and Upstream Color, Shane Carruth is the star, the director, the writer, the producer. He does the music, he's the DP, he does the sound, and he's the distributor.
He's the Tyler Perry of independent sci-fi.
Tyler Perry doesn't take that much control.
Really?
He has his own DP and sound guys.
Yeah, that's true.
And music, but I know people say, well, this just further makes it even more intimate, and this makes it more, personal to him.
That means he couldn't find anybody else to do it.
Yeah, nobody wants this piece of shit script.
Exactly.
Okay. I've been pretty unreasonable up to now. Now let me see it from another person's point of view.
Okay.
This argument has gone on forever, and I am firmly on a particular side. The big argument that's been going on forever is, are movies art?
Okay.
The answer is, obviously, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, say you have a Jackson Pollock painting.
Okay.
You know Jackson Pollock's paintings, they look like, it's like he just threw shit on there.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
like,
abstract, the sheer definition.
now, some people can look at a Jackson Pollock painting and say, what the fuck, he just threw paint on a fucking canvas.
Yeah.
And there's other people that say, well, when Pollock did this, he was clearly feeling this, or when he did this, I can see that he was really in this stage. And so
Yeah.
people can look at stuff and see things that a lot of people don't.
Makes sense.
And that's the way art house movies work. Like, after what I just said about Upstream Color, there are people who watch Upstream Color and they're like really, really taken by it. Like, they really see something in it. Like, the word transcendent is often used, and like people say it just takes them to a place that is just very cinematic and very hard to describe, because it just, when you look, like what I was talking about, it's really hard for me to talk about movies that I love, because love for a movie is more of a feeling than something you can explain. And that's the way people feel about these movies. And, like, obviously Shane Carruth is very ambitious, because that is, it really does, like, as far as the whole challenging you thing,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that I have to think really, really hard about what the movie's even about says something.
Yeah, he's done his job, it's just not necessarily how he wanted to do it.
It's just like, especially with Malik movies, like, people really take Malik movies personally, because, like, it may look like somebody really said something that really struck a chord with me that just made me, like, I still am not a fan of Malik's movies, most of them, but I see Malik's movies in a whole new way now, because all somebody said was, like everybody says, Malik's movies are just giant screensavers, and he doesn't know how to tell a story worth a shit, and he can't write worth a shit. And somebody just broke it down as movies are a visual medium. That's their whole purpose.
Exactly.
That's the whole, like, that's their reason.
Yeah.
So why not, show, as opposed to try to, like, Upstream Color just seemed like a lot of random shit happening. But, if you're, like, really watching closely and you really want to really take your mind there and really think about it and really dissect it, that's actually what's fun about art house movies, pretentious or not, is you could dissect them all day long.
Very true.
Which is what they're for. That's why they're called experimental movies and art house movies. Having said that, you talk to someone like me, like, I can say all this stuff, but, like, I absolutely see where Shane Carruth's coming from. And I totally get that people really are into these movies. I will forever stand by the fact that I think Upstream Color is a worthless piece of shit.
Okay.
But I'm really in a minority there.
Yeah.
So whatever he's doing is working for people, and they see something that I don't. So I really, like, the thing is when I hear people talk, like, when they say the movie was transcendent, even movies like Upstream Color, when people say they're transcendent and it takes them to a place, I really wish I could see Upstream Color that way. But I just can't. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. That's just the way, opinions work. Unfortunately, we all have different ones.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it makes it interesting, though, because maybe people can see it from my point of view, but I'm more than happy to take it from their point of view. Like, if they want to tell me how Upstream Color carried them to another place that really lifted them, I'd love to hear about it. So...
Well, this isn't talking about the same medium. Obviously, it's going completely a different direction, but there's a movie you didn't like that I know a lot of people did, and you can obviously see the reason why they liked it, and you definitely know the reason why you didn't, and that's Brave. Because you're definitely really against Brave, and for what it was, I enjoyed the movie. I mean, it's not just because I'm not just a Disney apologist. I actually did enjoy the movie, and you didn't. And you say yourself you can see it from other people's perspectives why they would enjoy it, but you just did not.
Yeah. And so yeah, if he wants to